Human in control. That sounds good, no? So Ashish, you've been working in pharma for 20 years?
Close to 20 years, yeah.
Close to 20 years? And so you've been there for a while,
yep.
if I may. And so AI adoption is everywhere across all industries. But how do you see in pharma, given the complex regulatory landscape, AI evolving for real? What's your perspective?
So I think in pharma, it's disrupting the entire supply chain, right? So when we go from early discovery, clinical trials, regulatory submissions, manufacturing, commercialization, and we even think about our global support functions, AI is disrupting every part of our business, and it needs to. And I'm seeing this across the board for many years, not because the onslaught of Gen AI and agentic AI, but even things like automation, machine learning capabilities. Technology is definitely improving how pharma works, and it's benefit for the patient because we can fast track a lot of things and give better outcomes to our patients faster. So to me, AI is disrupting every part, every line of business in the pharmaceutical industry, and there's several examples of that.
And you talked about disruption and patient in the same sentence. So how do you strike a balance between the rapid innovation and the strict controls necessary for safety and regulatory compliance?
Yeah, we think about this every day. So in our life sciences industry, I know many of my peers are also sitting in the audience. We are a very regulated world that we live in because at the end of the day, our drugs, our products go into patients and animals, right? So we've got to improve the lives of patients and animals. So where we look at it is, in our industry, especially inside of the company that I work for, is where we play the offensive side of governance and where we play defensive side of governance. And when I'm using the word governance a little bit more loosely here, like there are several areas in our business where we do need to have very defensive approaches to how we manage data, how do we solution on data, what type of solutions we put in place. And there are many areas in our business where we can be actually a little bit more looser in our controls and be on the offensive side. So we have to pick and choose kind of which area of the business we want to disrupt more or less. Now, AI is disrupting every part of the business, right? So there are areas in our business where if you look at clinical trials, we want to run clinical trials much more efficiently, much more faster. We want to do site selection a lot better. There's authoring of clinical trial documentation. That is all very highly regulated, right, because it has to go through regulation agencies. So what we end up doing there is making sure that we have access to very high quality data. There is the right human in the middle where reviewing the results. You all heard about hallucination in the last three presentations that happened this morning, and putting in the right checks and balances as we do those submissions, right? So that's a very kind of a defensive play there, but still huge impact. On the offensive side, especially in early discovery, it really helps us parse through a tremendous amount of data for next target identification. There are areas where we can experiment a lot more, a lot faster with those capabilities. So we really have to pick and choose what type of tactics we're going to apply, which part of our business. When we go down our commercial area in our organization, we want to be super fast there, right? We want to have the right engagement with our patients, with our HCPs. So there's a lot more opportunity to be more offensive there in our area. So again, it's a balance that we have to pick and choose.
And when talking like this about widespread usage and control at the same time, there's a question of like the challenges you might have in terms of like the democratization of analytics and AI. How do you address those and like probably also all of the resistance to change?
Yeah, so in our industry, you know, we do use a lot of buzzwords of democratizing data, democratizing AI for everybody.
In our industry too.
Yeah. We quickly realized that not all data needs to be democratized, right? Because you need to have very strong subject matter expertise to understand, manage, and influence that data, right? Data without context is nothing but just data. Right, so you have to be really clear about what part you're going to focus on, where you're going to democratize it, and how you're going to democratize it. Right, it's really important to kind of figure that out in your business process. Right, so as I mentioned before, there are areas in our business where we want to play more of the defensive side for the right reasons, and then there are areas in our business where we definitely want to play offense. Right, and we kind of balance that out. We do want to democratize technology and the AI capabilities. We want to uplift everybody from a literacy point of view. And what that does is it allows our resources, our people that work for the company who are subject matter experts, to be able to apply those capabilities a lot more faster in their business areas, right? So that's kind of how we're looking at this. But we're a firm believer that not everything needs to be democratized. There's some areas where we just got to be really careful to make sure that the right subject matter experts have access to that data. Just because I'm the employee of the company, there's some data sets that I should not have access to because I just don't understand that data set.
Yeah, it makes sense. And so playing offense, playing defense, there's a question I must ask related to your agentic journey. So you started your agentic journey, but can you tell us more?
Yeah, we started our agentic journey similar to some of the folks in this room here just a few months back. What we are doing there is we're being very focused in what type of architecture we're going to build, what our reference architecture is going to be. We are plugged into the technology markets to really understand what the tech disruption is happening. There are design choices that we have made, and those design choices are anchored into what matters for our company. So we really focus on what matters. So there are some very big use cases that we're after. Second thing that keeps up at night is data privacy, compliance, risk, and security. So there are design choices that we've made to make sure that we can govern that, right? You heard about hallucination early on by the professor that was up here on stage. That's something that we also care tremendously about, because by having AI capabilities and agentic AI capabilities, there's a possibility of these agents going rogue, right? How do you control them? So privacy by design, security by design are the design choices that we've made. And these design choices, we're making them in a way that we're making sure that they're not permanent, right? We're looking at it in the sense that as the market evolves, as the technology partners evolve, we can understand where they're going, what their roadmap is, what our roadmap is. And we're constantly balancing the build versus buy mindset as well, right? There are things that we know we're going to buy, and then there are things we know we're going to build because the market is just not yet ready. There's a lot of noise out there, so it's really up to us on what type of noise we want to handle and how we parse through that noise. So there are design choices from an architecture perspective, and then also design choices from an operating model perspective. Our vision is to have people who are subject matter experts to build these agentic AIs, but we have to get them ready. We have to get them the frameworks, the education, the governance. So what we're doing is we have a central team that is going to build these agents to start off with. As we get better and mature at it, we kind of create our super users or friendlies, and then start layering on how we would democratize this further. So we're early on in our journey. We've got the architecture down. We have our reference architecture down. We've made design choices. There are a few agents that are already in flight, and we have a very healthy pipeline of how we're going after this. And technology partners, right? We are constantly in touch with our technology partners, Dataiku being one of them, just to see how your roadmap is evolving, how do we need to evolve our roadmap, and when those natural integration points come to the table.
So as you pointed out, it's a very noisy market now. So
Yep.
what do you see for the future? What is 2025, 2026 for you?
Oh gosh, I think
2027?
if I look over the next 1 to 3 years, I think the market is going to evolve rapidly. Every 3 months, the market is changing, right? There's new technology coming on board. So it's really important to be part of the noise, is to stay in touch with the noise and understand the signals. By not paying attention to those signals, we feel that we might miss out. We might make a decision that we would regret. So staying involved in that noise is really important for us. The second thing, which is very, very clear to us, is that data without AI or AI without data, your AI is nothing, right? So we got to be really good at managing our data, understanding our data, making our data available in a very secure, compliant way, right? We are a regulated agency, so we need to make sure that those controls are there, but those controls are there in a seamless point of view. Last thing I would say, which is probably the most important thing near and dear to my heart, is talent. Is talent of your organization. It's not about just recruiting external talent to complement the talent that you have. It's also the talent that you already have in-house. How do you uplift that talent in data literacy, technology literacy, governance literacy, right? Because not everybody knows what data is already out there. Not everybody knows what AI capabilities already exist or skills that exist. So it's really important to uplift those boats together inside your organization. So that's how I'm looking at 25 and beyond. It's an exciting time. There's a lot of disruption happening in this space. And we're very excited inside of our company, and definitely for life sciences. I can speak for some of my life sciences peers. This is a game-changing era for us. The amount of data that we can process very quickly, the amount of noise that we can parse through very quickly, I think we can impact patients' lives much more faster over the next 2 decades than we have done in the last 3 or 4 decades.
That's great. Yeah, you mentioned talent, and that's a topic we'll talk about later today. Thank you, Ashish. Would you like to see some live action, live demo now?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go for it.
I think it's coming up next. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.